We need to spread the word. We must reach out into every corner, cross every border, and convey our message, our motive. And it must be with respect, not force, that they accept our invitation.
The Warriors, a 1979 Paramount classic about the titular New York street gang and their struggle to get home to Coney Island after they are blamed for murdering the leader of the city's most influential gang, the Gramercy Riffs. With their leader most likely killed by the Riffs. I mean, it's not stated outright, but the last we see of Cleon is here. So yeah, it's safe to make that logical leap. So with their leader killed by the Riffs, the remaining warriors are left stranded in the city when a hit is called out on them. With a plot loosely based on an ancient Greek scripture about a group of 10,000 soldiers who after being betrayed are stranded and must fight their way through hostile territory. The Warriors follows a similar story using a dark, dreamlike New York as its setting and street gangs as its players. The film has a gritty feel. The abandoned dark streets coupled with the constant peril is almost reminiscent of a horror movie, but the Warriors face each obstacle with tact, fighting when appropriate and avoiding conflict when the odds are just too stacked against them. The soundtrack is a mixed bag, ranging from dark bass riffs to strangely upbeat 70s pop music, and that's not a bad thing by any means. It adds some levity to an otherwise very tense film while accenting the action scenes nicely. Without going into a full-blown character analysis, I'll just say that with one rapey exception, we have a likable group of protagonists here. They're of course a street gang, and therefore prone to excessively violent and destructive acts, but they are warriors bound by their own code of ethics and conduct, and I find something very noble in that. The other gangs are varied, with interesting concepts like multicultural skinheads or Shaolin Black Panthers or a baseball team who wants to have batting practice with your face. And some less interesting ones like gangs whose defining traits are being on roller skates or wearing dirty shirts or being female. This film is based off the 1965 novel of the same name, and was remade into a video game in 2005. The game is great. Developed by Rockstar, plays like a 3D beat-em-up as you manage the iconic warriors to notoriety. Not only does it cover the film's plotline and allows you to play key moments from the film, but it also goes as far as to add a prequel storyline, ranging from each member's recruitment right up to minutes before the fated meeting that begins the movie. The story for the non-prequel section of the game plays out slightly differently than the film does. In most cases, it's non-intrusive to the story, but there's one really big spoilery exception that completely changes the dynamic of one character. But video games need final bosses, so we'll let it slide. This is an example of a movie game done right. While we have a handful of good games based on movies nowadays, this was in my opinion the first movie game to do justice to the source material both in storyline and gameplay. Of course, the graphics are dated by today's standards, but I'd say if you're a fan of the film and wanted to know more about the characters and plot, it's worth checking out. Back to the film. According to IMDb, there's a remake slated to begin production sometime in the near future. I'm kinda skeptical if a remake should be made. I mean, sure, if it's handled seriously and given proper care, it could be cool. But I just don't know how well the story would adapt to modern culture. I picture the Baseball Furies being replaced by the Blue Ball Furries, or the Lethal Lizzies being swapped in favor of the Mom's Basement dwelling MMO players, or just dividing gangs based on cell phone model or some shit like that. The Warriors is an iconic film and a timeless narrative that has remained relevant for over 40 years, and is one of my all-time favorite films. I'm sure I'm not alone in that, so leave a thumbs up for the boys from Coney. Once again, this was Fade Dragon Tier. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
You warriors are good. Real good. The best.